Live from Red Zone Weather, this is a severe weather update.
Watching potential tropical cyclone number 3 in the Gulf of Mexico on this Thursday evening. Right now, this is a tropical disturbance that has plenty of moisture out on the east side. This disturbance is now moving north, and it's likely going to make landfall as a tropical storm somewhere in Louisiana tomorrow or on Saturday. For our local area, that's where the impacts are going to be. In our local area and back to the west in Mississippi, extending back into Louisiana, where flash flooding will be the main concern over the next few days. You can already get an idea that this is going to be a lopsided system. Just look at this. You can see the cone of uncertainty here, but really all the convection at this point is out on the eastern flank of this, and that's how this tropical cyclone is going to set up over the next 24 to 36 hours. Let's get in there and talk about specifics, because we do have impacts upcoming for our local area as early as tomorrow. And so this is a system that's currently setting up in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, near the center of this area of low pressure, there just is not much convection, but plenty of rain, plenty of thunderstorms out on the eastern side, and this moisture just to our south is going to come into our area tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday as a fire hose of moisture, allowing heavy rain, thunderstorms, maybe even a few tornadoes to form across our local area. This is the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, the latest advisory as of 7 o'clock, showing the center of circulation likely to cross the coast somewhere here in south central Louisiana before a northeasterly turn happens, and most likely this system is going to make landfall as a tropical storm with maximum winds between 40 and 45 miles per hour. And so this is not going to be a big wind maker as much as it is a rain maker. Yes, indeed, we're talking upwards of 6, 7, maybe even 8 inches of rain across part of our local area, upwards of 9 inches of rain back here in southeastern Louisiana near places like Venice, back over to Grand Isle. You can see the track of this storm, though, right in through there. And again, along and east of the center of circulation is where we are expecting most of the impacts to happen, which is why our area has got to be weather aware over the next 72 hours. A tropical storm warning does exist from Intracoastal City right here in Louisiana all the way back over to the Floribama, the Alabama-Florida border there at the Floribama in Orange Beach, under a tropical storm warning. In addition to metropolitan New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, all of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and all of the Alabama Gulf Coast, including coastal stretches of Mobile and Baldwin counties. Again, the big impact with this tropical storm going to be heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. We already have a flash flood watch in effect for much of eastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and our local area here in South Alabama and northwest Florida. No matter where you're watching from on this Thursday evening, you are involved in a flash flood watch, meaning we could have isolated instances of very heavy rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. Again, that includes both the coastal counties and areas farther inland. And so be aware of that. A flash flood watch is in effect because of this. We're talking 6, 7, maybe even 8 inches of rain across our local area. Here's the local view, and this is clearly why that flash flood watch was required by the National Weather Service in Mobile today. Again, most spots down around the coast, the Alabama coast specifically, going to get between 7 and 8 inches of rain. If this particular forecast happens to be right, it shows 8 inches of rain happening near Dauphin Island and Bayou La Batre there in southern Mobile County. 6 inches of rain for places like Pensacola, Atmore, back up to Chatham and Wagerville there in Washington County, with vast majority of us getting about 5 inches of rain. Andalusia, Opp, areas near Bruton, back up to Evergreen, Monroeville, back down to Navarre, over to Destin, about 5 inches of rain in total. There's the wider view, and this is going to be a big rainmaker for much of the deep south, including inland areas here in Alabama, up to areas like Montgomery, Lake Martin, Auburn, likely to get between 4 and 5 inches of rain. 3 inches of rain for places like Demopolis, up to Tuscaloosa, back over to Centerville. But again, for our local area, 5 to 8 inches of rain going to be the norm this weekend, as we will be concerned about heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. If flash flooding happens, it's most likely to happen in Mobile County and parts of Washington and Baldwin counties here as well. This red zone is where we are expecting 5 to 8 inches of rain that could lead to flash flooding. If you're in the orange zone, Thomasville back over to Coffeyville, Chatham, all the way back down to Crestview, Niceville, and Destin, we're talking between 3 and 6 inches of rain in total. Rain amounts likely are going to be on the higher end of that specific scale. So in other words, if you're in this orange zone where we're talking 3 to 6 inches of rain, likely going to end up in the higher end of that, as you saw on the previous map. So in addition to flash flooding, which is going to be a concern with this storm, there also could be a few embedded tornadoes. This is one model showing the synoptic setup of this event. And again, we're expecting a fire hose of moisture to be unleashed across our area as early as tomorrow. Could see these outer rain bands moving into our coastal areas as early as late tomorrow morning. Some of the showers and thunderstorms may get going in the morning, in the late morning hours, extending into the afternoon and evening hours. And there's a real chance once it starts raining in your location, it may not stop for quite some time, extending into Saturday. We'll advance this forward. And keep in mind, this system is expected to come on shore in terms of that center of circulation very early in the morning hours of Saturday. That look is valid at 1 a.m. on Saturday. You see where all the precip is on the eastern flank of this system across Alabama and northwest Florida, which is why we are projecting between 5 and 8 inches of rain in total across our local area. And keep in mind, there will be scattered showers and thunderstorms in progress through Monday and Tuesday of the upcoming week. Yes, the heavier rain will likely be gone by Sunday afternoon, but scattered showers and storms going to continue into early next week as this tropical storm moves across our area, turns to the northeast, and ultimately moves out. But again, in its wake, going to have scattered showers and storms even into next week. So again, there's your tornado risk, no matter where you're watching from, a low-end risk of a few brief spin-up tornadoes with this tropical storm as it moves most likely just to our west in terms of that center of circulation, putting all of our area on this volatile eastern side of the storm. So again, please have a way to get the warnings across our region, both coastal and inland. You got to be ready for a few tornadoes. There's the tropical storm warning this evening. And again, it's in effect from Orange Beach and areas near the Alabama-Florida border right here, all the way back over to Intracoastal City in Louisiana. And so what that means is basically areas south of Interstate 10 in our local area in Alabama are involved in that tropical storm warning. That includes Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Fort Morgan, Magnolia Springs, Foley, Fairhope, Montrose, Daphne, Spanish Fort, Loxley, Alberta, all involved in the tropical storm warning in Baldwin County. In Mobile County, you've got Alabama Port, Bayou La Battery, Dauphin Island, and basically areas near Mobile and points south along DIP involved in the tropical storm warning, which is where we could have 25 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. We're really not expecting tropical storm force winds over a wide area in our part of the world. And so here in South Alabama and Northwest Florida, this is going to be a rainmaker. We're not forecasting high winds for really any part of our local area, perhaps except near the Alabama beaches is where the wind could gust perhaps as high as 40 miles per hour. Even that may be a stretch. Again, this is going to be a big rainmaker. Let's look at the wind model, and this is off the global forecast system, the projected winds at the 10-meter height, in other words, here at the surface of the earth. And this is actually valid in the morning, in other words, tonight at 1 a.m. And so we're talking wind gusts up around 40 miles per hour to the south of our area. And then as we get into the daytime hours of Friday, could see those wind gusts up around 20 miles per hour near the coast of Alabama. Places like Dauphin Island, back over to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Again, coastal areas could have the higher wind gusts at the immediate beach zones. Farther inland, though, we're really not expecting anything in the way of wind damage at this point. And so that certainly is a good thing. Again, that look is valid tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the evening. We'll advance this forward, and the center of circulation likely to cross the coast here in Louisiana in the very early mornings hours of Saturday. And let's go ahead and zoom into our local area. That's when the wind values, in other words, wind speeds, will probably be at their peak. Again, maybe wind gusts as high as 40 miles per hour, but sustained winds around 30 miles per hour at those beaches. I mean, you go 2 and 3 miles inland, you're going to have enough land friction to calm those winds. But at the immediate beaches, that's where you could have sustained winds around 20 miles per hour. Farther inland, not expecting wind issues. Keep in mind as well, a rip current warning is in effect. You wouldn't think I would have to say this. You wouldn't think anybody would have to say it. But there are these folks who want to be a daredevil and, go out and surf or whatever it is. Please don't get in the Gulf if there's a red flag flying in your location. I know for a fact that Orange Beach is already flying red flags at their beaches. And so please stay out of the water. These rip currents have killed more folks in our local area than all other weather hazards combined. And so rip currents a big concern in addition to high waves. And that's why a high surf warning is in effect for all of our local beach zones, valid through next week. However, if I could condense this video into one graphic, I would show you this one, because again, this system, likely to be Tropical Storm Claudette by the time we're talking tomorrow evening, going to be a big rainmaker for our area. Flash flooding most likely back here in Mobile County, but also across parts of Washington and Baldwin counties. And I say possible, this is the area where flash flooding is most likely to happen. Flash flooding will be possible across our entire area as we continue to monitor potential tropical cyclone number 3. It right now is a system that does not have a low-level center of circulation, but one is expected to form in this general area over the next 12 to 24 hours. Most of the convection remains on the eastern side. Several questions over the last few hours about this potential tropical cyclone designation. Basically, that is issued when a storm has not formed yet in terms of that low-level center, but there's less time to issue those watches and warnings. And so what that potential tropical cyclone designation allows the Hurricane Center to do is go ahead and issue the tropical storm warnings. And again, in this case, we're talking from the Alabama-Florida border all the way back over to Intracoastal City in Louisiana. And so it really kind of gets confusing with the naming scheme of all this. Invest 92L, potential tropical cyclone number 3. The big takeaway here is that this will most likely be Tropical Storm Claudette either in the morning when we wake up or more likely by the time we're talking tomorrow evening. And so don't get so caught up in the naming that you forget about the impacts from this system. Heavy rain, gusty winds at the immediate beaches, maybe a few tornadoes this weekend. Of course, if we happen to have any tornado warnings in our part of the world in southwest Alabama or northwest Florida, we'll come on Facebook Live and in the Red Zone Weather app to bring you the very latest with nonstop, uninterrupted coverage. On behalf of all of us at Red Zone Group LLC, I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson saying goodbye for now. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll try to get to those in just a little bit. My next video update will be posted by 7:15 a.m. tomorrow morning on Friday as we continue to track this developing tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. I hope you have a great evening, be ready for a wet weekend, and I hope you have a great Thursday evening.